हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमों विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Pranav Prabhu. So, based on the questions that were asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadev Goswami cited the incidents of Brahmaji being asked by Narad Rishi, the 6 questions. So far in the 5th chapter, the cause of all causes, we discussed the 5 questions were answered by Brahmaji. And now, in this chapter, he will speak on the remaining question. The question on what this material world is made up of, what are the ingredients. And of course, the title of this chapter is Purusha Suktaha confirmed. Anyone knows what is Purusha Suktaha? I've heard it, or anyone knows what is Purusha Sukta?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Yes, Ravindra Prabhu.
प्रभु जी, वो जो कोई भी अभिषेक से पहले जो मंत्र उच्चारण करते हैं, मैं सोचा हूँ वही पुरुष।
Actually, Purusha Sukta are the prayers which are recited by the demigods for the Supreme Lord. The demigods, the prayers that they recite, they are called as Purusha Sukta. Yes, you are right. Brahma Uvacha Vacham Vahaneirmukham Kshetram Chandasam Sapta Dhatava Bhavya Kavya Amrita Annam Jiva Sarva Rasasya Cha. So further, Lord Brahma said, so he's explaining the universal form, the Virat Roop. The mouth of the Virat Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, is the generating center of the voice. And the controlling deity is fire. His skin and other 6 layers are the generating centers of the Vedic hymns. And his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people. So it is continued in a way what was explained in the 5th chapter gets continued in the 6th chapter. So it is talking about his skin and other 6 layers. The word is Sapta Dhatavaha. Sapta means 7. So what are the 7? One is the skin and the other 6 layers. Here it is there. Chandasam Sapt Dhatavaha. Chandasam are the Vedic hymns. Chandamsi Yas Parnani. Yastam Vedasa Vedavid. That is in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let us see what we can understand from the purport. Very technical, very difficult to comprehend this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. The opulence of the universal form of the Lord are described herein. It is said that his mouth is the generating center of all kinds of voices. And its controlling deity is the fire god. And his skin and the other 6 layers of bodily constructions are the representative generating centers of the 7 kinds of Vedic hymns, like the Gayatri. Gayatri is the beginning of all Vedic mantras, and it is explained in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Since the generating center are the different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to the material creation, it is to be understood that the voice, the tongue, the skin, etc. suggests that the Lord in his transcendental form is not without them. The material voice and the energy for taking in footsteps are generated originally from the Lord. Such actions are but perverted reflections of the original reservoirs. The transcendental situation is not without spiritual variegatedness. In the spiritual world, all the perverted forms of material variegatedness are fully represented in their original spiritual identity. The only difference is that material activities are contaminated by the 3 modes of material nature, whereas the potencies in the spiritual world are all pure because they are engaged in the unalloyed transcendental loving service of the Lord. In the spiritual world, the Lord is the sublime enjoyer of everything, and the living entities are all engaged in his transcendental loving service without any contamination of the modes of material nature. The activities in the spiritual world are without any of the inebrities of the material world. But there is no question of impersonal voidness on the spiritual platform, as suggested by the impersonalists. Devotional service is therefore defined in the Narad Pancharatra as follows. Sarvopadi vinurmuktam tatparattvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. Originally, since all the senses are produced of the Lord's reservoir of senses, you remember how the senses were generated? In the 5th chapter, Cause of All Causes, we had read how the senses were generated. Who remembers? Yes, Ramya and Dayashil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. When the false ego comes in the contact with the mode of passion, then the 5 senses, 5 working senses, and 5 knowledge acquiring senses, along with intelligence, begin.
Yes, very good. Very good. Perfect answer. So the senses will always keep us in the mode of passion. But the Lord is the reservoir of the senses. How do we say that the Lord is the reservoir or Lord is the controller of the senses? In which feature is Krishna known as the reservoir or the controller of the senses? आपने तो आंसर दे दिया, बाकियों को भी देने दीजिए. बोलिए. How Krishna is known as the reservoir or the master controller of the senses? Yes, Pranav Prabhu.
Prabhuji, his name is Rishikesha because he is the controller of senses.
So simple, huh? It is nursery class answer. And others are thinking, 1 minute, I'll have to take the call. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, Hare Krishna. So Krishna is Rishikesh. He is the reservoir of senses. The sensual activities of the material world are to be purified by the process of devotional service. Rishikesha, Rishikena, Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. And thus the perfection of life can be attained simply by purifying the present position of our material activities. And the purifying process begins from the stage of being liberated from the conception of different designations. What is the verse? I have already put it the verse. Hmm? Every living entity is engaged, it is there in the top here. I have already spoken this verse. Sarvopadi vinirmukta. Please focus. Please hear attentively. Don't be absent-minded. I am just asking what I have already spoken and explained. Nothing new I am asking. So every living entity is engaged in some sort of service, either for the self or for the family or for the society, country, etc. But unfortunately, all such services are rendered due to the material attachment. The attachment of the material affinity may be simply changed to the service of the Lord. And thus the treatment for becoming freed from material attachment begins automatically. The process of liberation is therefore easier through the devotional service than by any other method. For in the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is said that one who is subjected to various kinds of tribulations, if one is impersonally attached, kleshavadhikarastesham avyakt asak chetasam. So he is explaining how this universe comes into being, what it is composed of, and what are the ingredients of the universe. How Krishna is both the cause and is also the effect, is the material and the efficient cause. Sarva asunam cha vayoscha tatna se paramayane ashvinor aushadhinam cha grahano moda pramodayo. His two nostrils are the generating centers of our breathing and all other airs. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumara demigods and all kinds of medicinal herbs. And his breathing energy produces different kind of fragrance. There is no purport to it. Rupanam tejasam chakshu divasurasya chakshini karnodisham chatirthanam shotram akasha shabdayo. So how the other subtle elements manifest from the Virat Rupa is mentioned. His eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of form. How do we see? It's through the eyes. And what does the eye see? The form. So the tanmatra or the object of eyes is the form. And they glitter and illuminate. His eyes balls are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all sides and are receptacles for all the Vedas. And his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. This is all compared to the universal form, the Virat Rupa. So how is the ultimate cause is being established? The word Tirthanam is sometimes interpreted to mean the place of pilgrimage, but Srila Jiva Goswami says that it means the receptacles of the transcendental Vedic knowledge. The propounders of the Vedic knowledge are also known as Tirthas. Tat gatram vastu saranam saubhagasya cha bhajanam vagasya sparsha vayusya sarvamedasya chevahi. His bodily surface is the breeding ground for the active principle of everything and for all kind of auspicious opportunities. His skin is the generating center for the moving air and all kind of senses of touch, and is the place for performing all kind of services. So these are various different limbs which are being compared. That how the universal functioning happens. Because the root of it, the cause of it is Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and in his extended form as the Virata Rupa, as the universal form. So it is a long description. So many verses are there. Romane Udbija Jatina Verva Yagyastu Sambrita Kesha Smasru Nakhaniyasya Shila Lohabra Vidyuta. The hairs on his body are the cause of all vegetation, particularly of those trees which are required as ingredient for sacrifice. The hairs on his head and face are reservoir for the clouds, and his nails are the breeding ground of electricity, stones, and iron ores. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the cloud rest on the hairs of his head. You have to focus. Difficult part. No lila or no pastime is here. Very, very technical and intricate, requires a lot of faith and a lot of perseverance to even hear or read with patience. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the cloud rests on the hairs of his head. One can therefore collect all sort of necessities of life from the person of the Lord. And therefore the Vedas affirm that everything that is produced is caused by the Lord. The Lord is the supreme cause of all causes. Bahavo lokapalana prayasha shema karmana. The Lord's arm are the productive fields for the great demigods and other leaders of the living entities who protect the general mass. So you see different limbs are compared to different products or activities of this material world. The important verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is corroborated and nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita 10:41-42 as follows. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimad urjitam eva tattadeva vagachatva mam tejo amcha sambhava athva bahu naitena kim gyatena tavarjuna Vishtabhyam nidam krishnam ekam shena sthito jagat. There are many powerful kings, leaders, learned scholars, scientists, artists, engineers, inventors, excavators, archaeologists, industrialists, politicians, economists, business magnates, and many more powerful deities or demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Chandra, Indra, Surya, Varuna, and Maru, who are all protecting the interest of the universal affairs of maintenance in different positions, and all of them are different powerful parts of different powerful parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living entities who are placed in different high and low positions according to their desire or aspiration. Some of them, as particularly mentioned above, are specifically endowed with the powers by the will of the Lord. A sane person must know for certain that a living being, however powerful he may be, the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the father of all living entities who are placed in different high and low positions according to their desires or aspirations. Some of them, as particularly mentioned above, are specifically endowed with powers by the will of the Lord. A sane person must know for certain that a living being, however powerful he may be, is neither absolute nor independent. All living beings must accept the origin of their specific power, as mentioned in this verse. And if they act accordingly, then simply by discharging their respective occupational duty, they can achieve the highest perfection of life, namely eternal life, complete knowledge, and inexhaustible blessings. As long as the actions of Maya illusion will continue, the actions of Maya are such that a powerful person misled by the illusionary material energy wrongly accepts himself as all in all and does not develop God consciousness. As much the false sense of egoism, namely myself and mine, as all in all and does not develop God consciousness. As such, the false sense of egoism, namely myself and mine, has become overly prominent in the world, and there is a hard struggle for existence in the human society. The intelligence class of men therefore must admit the Lord as the ultimate source of all energies and thus pay tribute to the Lord for his good blessings, simply by accepting the Lord as the supreme proprietor of everything. Since he is actually so, one can achieve the highest perfection of life. Whatever a person may be in the estimation of the social order of things, if he tries to reciprocate a feeling of love toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is satisfied with the blessings of the Lord, he will at once feel the highest peace of mind, for which he is hankering life after life. Peace of mind, or in other words, the healthy state of mind, can be achieved only when the mind is situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The parts and the parcels of the Lord are endowed with specific powers for rendering service unto the Lord. Just as the big business magnate sons are empowered with specific powers of administration. The obedient son of the father never goes against the will of the father, and therefore passes life very peacefully in concurrence with the head of the family. The father similarly, the Lord being the father of all living beings should fully and satisfactorily discharge the duties and will of the father as faithful sons. This very mentality will at once bring peace and prosperity to human society. So I'm stopping here. So the first 6 verses are comparing the various bodily parts or the organs or limbs. Hare Krishna. It is really austerity. The second canto is the smallest canto. It has only 10 chapters. Very thin book, but not easy. Because it is talking about creation. And it is so difficult, so complex, our mind just switches off. It is not interested. Hare Krishna. बोलो भाई, unless and until a few people remain passive, कुछ पूछोगे नहीं, कुछ समझोगे नहीं, कुछ नहीं समझ में आएगा. Complete blank. It will remain complete blank. And creation will come at least 3 times. 3 times then will come very detailed in the 3rd canto when Kapil Dev will explain. But that analysis is still more interesting because he gives it in a very analytical way. But here, see, Brahmaji is explaining to Narad Munis. Just see who is the speaker and who is the listener. And where are we? We say, hame kya karna hai, what have I to do? I don't have to create. It is Brahma's headache. Let him handle. Why should I meddle in Brahma? Anyway, I will not get the post of Brahma. So why should I put my head into it? Or my heart into it? Ramya, what is Gaurangi doing? She is studying. लिख रही है?
कुछ बना रही है प्रभु जी.
अच्छा, बना दो. हाँ गौरांगी, सुनाई दे गया? हरे कृष्णा. हरि बोल. तिलक कहाँ है? तिलक लगा है? हाँ, very good. Always, हाँ, always put tilak. Yes, Manoram Prabhu. बोलिए.
Prabhuji, the topics that are being discussed here, so
Yeah.
that is during the process of creation, or it is still continuing, Prabhuji, like in verse
The,
number 5.
the question being asked was Parikshit Maharaj, what he asked. Parikshit Maharaj had asked that he wants to know the process of creation, how this material creation comes into being. What is the process? That means one after the other, what is the sequence? How it manifests. And Shukadev Goswami in return, he cites the question and answer between the same topic which was asked by Narad Muni. There were 6 questions. Yesterday also you asked 6 questions. So accordingly, this is the 6th question as to the composition of this material world. What are the ingredients of this material world? So that is being detailed here. So the material cause is the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and the limbs provide the ingredients for the universe. So for 5th verse, what you were asking on the 5th verse?
Prabhuji, actually, that is that clarification that here it is written the hairs on his body are the cause of all vegetation. So, I mean, that is still continuing, or it was during the time of creation and after
It
that
is always there, na? Till the time it is existing. Very difficult, very difficult to have understanding on this. Here it is. Romani Udbija Jati now. So Romani is hairs on the body and Udbija are the vegetables. The hairs on his body are the cause of all vegetation, particularly of those trees which are required as ingredients for sacrifice. The hairs on his head and face are reservoirs for the clouds. Prabhupada does not talk much on the purport part. If you want, I can pull up another commentary. One moment. Let us see how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. Okay. Here it is mentioned. From his body hairs arose all trees by which sacrifice is performed. Okay. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And from his hairs and beard arose clouds. And from his nail arose lightning, minerals, and now there is a little bit of more commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. From his hairs arose all trees, Udbija Jatina, by which sacrifice is undertaken, and not other trees. And when we perform sacrifice, then what do we get? You forgotten?
some
Gita
benediction,
Huh?
some benedictions, Prabhuji.
Annad bhavanti bhutani Parjanyo anna sambhava Yagnad bhavanti parjanyo. So this is the cycle. Okay. So if there is no sacrifice, then there is no rain. And if there is no rain, there is no rain. And then it is said, from his hair arose all the trees. Udbija Jatina, by which sacrifice is undertaken and not other trees. Okay. I don't want to speculate. This is what I can relate based on Acharya commentary. Anyone else? Okay, then we conclude. I'm having short classes because our mind and intelligence is not very much inclined and will fail here to understand what is being given. Hare Krishna. Pranab Prabhu, you call me. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.